the Carnage Giants ended up feeling. All right, so Grixis. This one has been titled Grixis Tempo. It is similar to the Grixis mid-range deck we played earlier. So I'd like to mention the distinction about why I called this Tempo versus the other one a mid-range deck for the people who aren't quite familiar with that vernacular, maybe. So the difference between this and the build we played earlier is you'll notice this build has copies of Dive Down and Spell Pierce to be a little bit more protect the queen base to help keep our threats like Thief of Sanity alive. The flip side of that is, looking at this deck list, this build is also a little bit more threat light than the mid-range build we played earlier, and I wouldn't be too surprised if after playing a match or two, I say to myself, these Ionizes are kind of clunky to hold up, and I want more Hostage Takers, because Hostage Taker, especially with the addition of Dive Downs, just a really powerful card that's able to generate good 2-for-1s. Let's dive into a match or two here. So again, like to try and play them card for card, decks that people have submitted before. And then make some changes as we go. Remember, Stream Decker, I think I did. I did not. I'm a liar. Thank you for the reminder. I posted on Twitter. That's what I did. I posted on Twitter. This hand's kind of awkward with double tap land, but I think it's a keep definitely on the play. Have all of our colors. Discovery helps us find a third land if we're potentially going to miss. I have heard the good news about ranked best of 3. Super exciting. When Excellent rotates, gonna keep the cards if it's still legal and set. Yeah, so they've said that when Magic Standard format rotates next fall, there's going to be a new non-rotating format introduced. I think I'm going to go ahead and Thought Erasure here, because I'd like to tag a Jade Light before they play it, potentially. Of course, they have double Jade Light. Well, I guess I take this Find. I'm going to bin a 5th land here. It won't be people. I love all the people that don't know their history, because the number of people who say, "Oh, it's new extended," when I say they're adding a new non-rotating format on Arena, people like extended was a rotating format. In fact, the reason extended was rotated, one of the big reasons why it wasn't successful. Yes, they are adding all of the features we've basically ever wanted to Arena very soon. Alright, I'm going to take this Jade Light to hopefully punish them for leaving this Carnage Tyrant on top. And then I'm going to go ahead and Kitesail their cast down, because if they want to trophy the Kitesail, I'm okay with that as well. That being said, one of the awkward things here is I mentioned this Ionize is a little bit awkward here. And I mentioned I felt the Ionize might be awkward, and it's being awkward here. Alright, that's a Hostage Taker and a Kitesail Freebooter. Alright, I guess I keep both of those, huh? So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Kitesail Freebooter into play here. Yeah, I agree. I personally don't really care about a friends list feature, but I know a lot of other people do. The thing I want more than a friends list feature is the last thing I want that doesn't exist yet is a best of 3 in the challenge mode. So I hope we get best of 3 challenges at sometime soon. I think we're probably dead here. Like, if this had just been a removal spell, I'd be in a much better spot. This had, like, been a Hostage Taker from the start, potentially, maybe. Yes, in fact, as soon as best of 3 tournament play is an option, I plan to host sub-only tournaments. We're dead here. I have to like chump block. They get to kill my Hostage Taker. They get their Jade Light back. We're very dead. Angrath seems fine here. These Ionizes probably aren't gonna make it to another match. It's so clunky. Just like these decks that want to tap out for discard spells and threats to also be able to hold up a 3-mana counterspell is just incredibly difficult. All right, so like what happens, Miles, when they just pass back and don't do anything and they just hit me with their creature in play? What happens if they play well? If my opponent plays poorly and like plays right into my counterspell, things work out for me. But a good player with pressure in play isn't gonna play into my 4 open mana there. Is the problem. The music is really loud. Is the audio from Arena really loud? I feel like if the audio from Arena was really loud, someone would have said something by now. We've been streaming for 7 hours. Okay. I'm gonna confidently say it's fine. Dive down looking a touch awkward. We actually watched the developer update together on stream. Well, I mean, if the balance is wrong, they can't rebalance my audio on their end, is the thing. Spell Pierce here. I guess this doesn't really do anything. I'm gonna take Vivian Reed here. If you go to this link here quick, you should be able to link your accounts up. You probably need to do that on a desktop though. Although if you're on mobile, you should be able to view the desktop site. Insert Wit with the brand new Prime support. Thank you very much, welcome. Hope you're having a good Monday and thanks for supporting my content here. What's going on, Sarnak? Yeah, Twitch chat in general has been having some issues today. No attack there is super weird. I guess they want to sacrifice it to this. We're kind of in trouble here. Robot Snake Ape with the $10 tip. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. For Simic Climb. That is very correct for the submission. You link the deck and everything. A lot of people forget to link the deck list in the submission. Am I going to upload that portion to YouTube? Yeah, sure. Why not? I just exile this, play a tap plan. If they play Vivian, they get to draw a card. Yeah, we're just really far behind at this point. I feel like this deck lacks black split density as it is right now. Yeah, this deck has some tempo elements to it, but it feels like there just aren't enough ways to actually kill my opponent. Like how many actual creatures do I have in this deck? I've got 13. Yeah, I'm gonna cut these 3 Ionize and we're gonna add 3 threats. I'm gonna start by getting the hostage takers up to the full 4. Then, do I just want another Nicol Bolas? Extra Nick might be fine. Bolas is like a card where, like, if they don't answer him, he, like, kills them pretty quickly. Just playing a main deck Eldest Reborn probably isn't terrible. I kind of like that idea. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right, let's give this a try. What's the policy on discussing spoilers here? It's allowed. Discussing spoilers is a-okay. Late but can confirm. Best of 3 direct challenge is being worked on. No ETA, but we plan to add it. Awesome, Megan. I'm excited to see like what kind of third-party tournaments can pop up with stuff like Battlefly and stuff like that once you have direct 3 challenge. If I wanted to add some 2 CMC threats or something like this, what would it be? I don't actually know. I think, well, I guess if you wanted to add some more evasive threats to a tempo deck like this, it's probably like Siren Storm Tamer, right? It's probably Siren Storm Tamer. But I feel like if we put too many things in similar to that, like we just head towards like the Pirates deck at that point, and like at what point do we like just increase our threat count a lot in the cheap area and just like put in a bunch of Curious Obsessions? Woof. Tough beat. What is that versus only Golgari? We've played a lot of Golgari today, haven't we? I guess I kill this because it delays the dinosaur turn. How many buys does my crowd buy me at the Hoogle Fair? I don't know about that. Oh god, what a tilt. Just finally a third land that is just like into play tapped. Woof. Reborn's a little mediocre here. Angrath is fine. Spell Pierce is okay. Need to cut 4 cards potentially if I want to play this many. Do something like that, I think. Too many dive downs getting gummed up is definitely not great for us. We're playing against Golgari mid-range. We played, so I feel like I haven't seen that much Golgari recently, but the last couple of days it's just been like mono green-black. What will the optimal mixes of checks and shocks be for 3-color decks? A lot of the decks I've been building, I don't know if this is optimal. It's going to take some experimenting, and the number of optimal is going to depend on like how aggressive the format is, like how much you can afford to be shocking. But my gut says that it's probably somewhere between 10 and 12 shocks and somewhere between 9 and 11 chuck lands. Because your lands coming into play tapped is generally a bigger punish than your lands costing you health. But like I said, it depends on a number of factors, a lot of which are contextual to the format. Lands are overrated. How many lands are in this deck? There are at least 24 in here. There's 25. Wow. Would not have guessed that. I guess I just start killing these so they're not lethal when they draw Jade Light Ranger. The good news is like the opponent's hand's not doing a whole lot just yet, so we got that going for us. The problem with a brick and die emote is it just doesn't translate well. I actually have my graphics artist mock up like 4 or 5 different brick and die emotes, just none of them translated well at 28 pixels. There's a lot of great emote ideas, most of which don't translate at the dimensions that an emote needs to be. Let's try and play a game where we make land drops. Five letters gets to be tough across. So if you look at, like, for instance, like the RTFC and the modern, like, look at how those letters are crammed. Like, getting too much in there is a big deal. The 5th card problem refers to what happens to a card when you open a 5th copy of it in Magic Arena. This update did not mention a friends list at all. Ugh. Yep. Hey, what? I am looking forward to ranked best of 3, so that happens far more than I feel it should. Arena Redditor there, just they are tired of having their thoughts erased. They've done this one too many times. That card did in fact win 2 games. Wizards should probably consider nerfing it. I love how, like, there's, like, infinite decks that are great in this format, and, like, blue-black is arguably one of the more mediocre color schemes. It's the one that pisses people off, some folks off the most. Take Midnight Reaper. Hostage Taker seems fine. Can spell pierce this Vivian Reed here in a hot second. Dimir Control is high on the tier list. It is not. It is incredibly low, in fact. Angrath Midnight Reaper is a sweet play. Is there one card I don't know a removal spell? We're gonna get Chupacabra. Whew. All right, things are going well for us here. So I get to Jade Light, and then I get to Spell Pierce this Vivian. Then they'll have this card plus another card I don't know. To Thought Erasure. Maybe I should bin the Thought Erasure because I have the Kitesail.
Oh, so it's going to be like that, huh?
Maybe I should have binned this. I'm gonna put this into play just because likely not gonna have text. Just a 1/2 flyer at this point. Angrath, take your Midnight Reaper is such a clean answer. You're just like, yoink. I'm gonna leave those back just so I guarantee get to keep Angrath here. And then this will die and I'll draw a card. Yep. Sure. It's a 3 for 0 basically, right? Because like Angrath gets to sit here and still tick up afterwards.
No fire, no steel.
Rules are actually still the same. Just sometimes when you view on a new device, you have to click past them again. And Spurbem, thanks. Yeah, we're on the front page for a little bit today, which boosted us up for a while. All right, blue-black. I think in this matchup where card quality is important, I'm actually just going to cut all these dive downs. Eldest Reborn's a little mediocre. Let's give this a go. Do you have a tier list? What do you use for a tier list for standard decks and archetypes? I don't. As in what source? Objective. Here's something you need to understand, especially if you're coming from other games like Hearthstone that have copious amounts of data. Objective Magic data doesn't exist. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Or they work for Wizards and they have a secret vat of data that they're not sharing. But public objective Magic data with which we can define tiers through rigorous manners doesn't exist. So this is something that always comes up when I talk about cutting Eldest Reborn in this matchup. So Eldest Reborn is good against explicitly Carnage Tyrant. However, the opponent's deck plays a ton of mediocre creatures like Merfolk Branchwalker here that make it so it's very difficult to get Carnage Tyrant alone on the board. So most of the time you're not killing Carnage Tyrant, but so Channel Fireball has access to GP decklist, but nobody actually goes through and tallies it. Nobody's actually counting it up. Create database like the Hearthstone? Yeah, at some point potentially. Yeah, people like to write lots of really misguided articles using incomplete data and then draw bad conclusions because their data's incomplete. It's my favorite part about Magic. My favorite part about Magic is all the people beating on their chests insisting they're correct, even though they have bad data just like the rest of us. They should bin that, otherwise I get it. Like a deck being easy to play. Here's a hard truth for some of the people out there that like to play bad decks. 9 times out of 10, when someone says their deck is hard to play, what that translates to is their deck is actually bad. They just don't want to admit it was bad. We were on the front page of Twitch for 2 hours this morning, is how we went from a very high viewer count to where we are now. Once people get to that point, you think, here's the thing. Solved formats aren't bad formats. Boring formats are bad formats. When someone says a format is bad, usually what they actually mean is it's boring and poorly designed. The gameplay in the decks that are good is unenjoyable in a format that's bad. That's a really unfortunate draw for us. Hoping to fade. Like, I was willing to take a hit for 3 for whatever here to like get a hit in with the Thief of Sanity, but now, like, I don't get the hit with the Thief of Sanity, which feels real bad. This kills Jade Light Ranger plus gains 2. I don't know, maybe I should just Vraska's Contempt here. The fact that they ripped the removal spell's real bad for us there. Mushy, please never use the word cancer or other diseases on my channel to relate to a children's card game. I promise you that no matter how much you dislike playing against a given archetype, it pales in comparison to things that take people's loved ones away. So, that's your warning timeout, and if you do it again, you'll be banned. John with the 10-month resub, thank you very much. Welcome back, I appreciate it. Is Twitch counting total subs already? It is still counting just streaks. And thank you for the 10 months of a streak. I wonder when that change could happen. People keep asking. Yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna have the tools to beat Carnage Tyrant. So far playing this deck, it feels like this weird middling ground between blue-black pirates and Grixis control. I feel like I'm kind of like stuck in the middle between these two archetypes and like have a hard time like balancing it.
No fire, no steel.
All right, so that answers Carnage Tyrant, which is so the reason why I took Carnage Tyrant is because of this, right? If they ripped the landing out the Carnage Tyrant into play, I definitely couldn't win. They're gonna get to kill this now, but not a whole lot I can do about that. It really is salty. And by saying things to folks like that, you could definitely bring change. Like even like from a decade ago to now, there are words that I used growing up just because they were part of the gaming vernacular that we've since mostly eradicated from people in the gaming community. I think I just run no blocks here, because this way if I draw another 1-power creature, I can double block next turn. Alright, Nick's pretty good, especially with the 7th land in hand. So, don't have a removal spell. Ding, ding, ding. Alright, one more brick here, and Nick's gonna flip next turn and get us a dinosaur. Alright, back to the top decks. It is an SCG sweater. This is from the 2014 Players Championship. God, that was forever ago. So long ago. Yeah, sometimes they've got it. That's why you get to play best of 3, right? You get to reduce the variance of your opponent's incredible top decks by playing another game and making them have incredible top decks again. That is one of the many reasons why I, as a Magic player, love best of 3. How do you top deck better? Have you considered practicing flipping coins? It's a good, if not, I would highly recommend. Yeah, my avatar changes at every screen. It might be right to keep both of these, but I don't have that many double black cards in my deck, and I really don't want to draw 6 land. With the best of 3 announced, that mean we will ladder with these submitted decks as long as it's there? Yeah, most likely. Especially during the preseason ladder, we'll definitely be laddering with all the decks. If they tie some kind of meaningful rewards to the ladder, like for being high rank, I might pick and choose which decks I ladder with a little bit. And like only play the ones that are a little bit more competitive. But for the first preseason where the rank doesn't really matter, you know, just like, yeah, whatever. This is kind of an interesting sequencing point. Hostage Taker is more resource efficient. but it could just die. But if the Hostage Taker doesn't die, I get to Kitesail plus Merfolk Branchwalker next turn. I think I'm supposed to Kitesail first here. How much do I hate Mono Red? Unlike many of the people who stream and play Magic who do nothing but whine about Mono Red is a very reasonable part of a well-constructed format, and I have no problems with it. You know what? You know what the problem is with a lot of people who complain about Mono Red? They should stop playing bad, greedy, terrible decks. A lot of the time when you lose to Mono Red, it's because your deck was too clunky and greedy. Not every time, but a lot of the time. Whenever I see someone die to Mono Red and their hand is just like a bunch of spells that cost 4 or more mana, I just can't help but think you deserve this. You got what you deserved. Maybe you should consider your deck's curve starting before 3 if you don't want to die to Mono Red. And don't get me wrong, sometimes there's nothing you can do. Sometimes there's nothing you can do, but the amount of times there's genuinely nothing you can do compared to the times that you likely messed up or have your deck built improperly, that ratio's better. It's worse than you think. I have no idea, Caboose Man. Like I said, it's going to entirely depend on whether or not there's prizes that are meaningful tied to the ladder. Hey, Acker, thanks for the 14-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Do I care about Vivian? I'm not sure that I do. I think I'm just going to take Carnage Tyrant. I think I might take Carnage Tyrant.
Let's see what you got. Oh, come on.
And as someone who has a lot of experience playing Magic, if you look hard enough, you're gonna find someone that hates basically every archetype that exists in Magic. People don't want to play against Mono Red because it's boring. People don't want to play against Teferi because it's boring. People don't want to play against Green Black because Wild Growth Walker is boring. All of Magic is boring, I guess. But that can't possibly be true because we're all here playing, right? Because Magic's great. Look like a hostage to you all? Looks like a hostage to me. At the end of the day, you need to remember that the only thing Magic players like more than playing Magic is complaining about Magic, and take everything with a grain of salt. See? No top deck fire in game 3. You could say we put their fire out. How often you use the Dimir split card to kill Carnage Tyrants? Pretty rarely, because good players playing against blue-black will often know to hold lands to play around Dispersal. Man, we have not been good at drawing lands with this deck. Brutal. What's more offensive in terms of design? Carnage Tyrant or Teferi? I did see that message. I don't think either of those cards are offensive. Those are two of the many cards people like to complain about in this standard format, but I think they're both pretty reasonable. Planecrafter's kind of brutal here. Do I just play this and get a 2-for-1? The problem is my second card's just a land, right? Okay, Doherty, thank you for the 7-month resub. I appreciate that. The dive down to the Spell Piercer have just been, like, really consistently underwhelming in this deck list. I keep having them in situations like this where either, one, don't have enough mana for them, or two, even if I had mana, they just don't line up well into what my opponent's doing. I feel like I'd rather just have more threat density, just, like, play discard as a way to protect my stuff. How much is it for an update to elves? To update an existing archetype that I already have on my site, it's just 10 bucks. For build around for a new deck is 25. Why didn't I take Planecrafter with Thought Erasure? Maybe I should have. I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't keep up with a bunch of Midnight Reapers going. Like, if every creature they have, like, draws cards when it dies, I get buried pretty quickly. Yeah, I agree. Like a random getcha dive down is probably okay, but like the way that there's just so many of them feels pretty mediocre. It's probably too many Moments of Craving. I'll leave the Miser dive down in for the getchas. Give this a go. Carnity is the only way to play green in standard and feel like you have a chance. I don't think that's strictly true. Like greedy blue-black pirate. It feels like threat light blue-black pirates in a way, right? Like if you've watched my blue-black pirates content before, you'll note that one of the things I've always said is you should never board down lower than 20 creatures. And this deck has less than that to start, right? So we keep having a lot of these hands where like when our threats come together, our hands are very reasonable, but we keep having all these hands where we just like have a pile of disruption and like no threats to pair with them. Then we're just sitting there kind of one-for-oneing and spinning our tires. I feel like, actually, I think the biggest hit in this deck is we don't have enough ways to generate card advantage. So like Thief of Sanity and Hostage Shaker to a degree are the only ways to generate card advantage. So like Blue-Black Pirates, for instance, has Curious Obsession and Fathom Fleet Captain as additional ways to generate card advantage. This deck just doesn't do that. So we're ending up in too many games where we don't have threats and are just one-for-oneing and end up just not doing a whole lot. Also, holy gosh, these triple tap land openers are brutal. Keeping that land not because I really want a 4th right away, but because I really want an untapped land. Take a spell. Yeah, I think at that point, Rolf, you just like turn into blue-black pirates. All right, what do you got? Planecrafter is just such a beating. These Eldest Reborns are kind of tough not to crack, too. I guess I keep that so I can exile their Midnight Reaper next turn. The updates to the economy that they talked about in the post that we looked at here today happen on the 17th with the update for UMA. Yeah, Neckbreaker is sweet. I've got straight blue-black pirates in the queue already. I think I'm going to ditch the Kitesail Freebooter, keep Nicol Bolas. There's a good chance they miss a land drop next turn. Not a good chance, but not zero, I guess. Now they're pretty likely to hit. Updated elves in the queue sounds good. Do you want explicitly green-black elves, or is it okay if I experiment with different colors, Super DOS? We're done. I'm gonna be done with this one. This one feels really clunky. I think we've covered a lot of good reasons why, but let's just like talk about it really quick here before as we do a wrap-up segment. This deck is, I talked about at the beginning of this set about some of the difference between tempo and mid-range, and this deck just feels very middling. It feels like it's trying to be a mid-range deck, but it's also like has these cards that are individually weak that a tempo deck would want to play, like Dive Down and Spell Pierce, and the total threat density in this deck, when we tried to bring it up, just didn't quite feel there. I felt like I'd much rather just be playing blue-black pirates. Like, there isn't enough threat density in what this deck is doing, and its sources of generating card advantage also aren't stellar. So, or doesn't have enough of them. Like, just Thief of Sanity isn't enough, because this is going to die often enough, and you're not going to have another way to generate a lot of cards. When you have lower quality cards in your deck like these, generally speaking, you need to be generating card advantage in some way, or ending the game very quickly, before your opponents who are going to have higher average card quality are going to be able to beat you.